this very first episode of FO40, we meet Ruben, an average Danish guy living in Romania, who has turned his life around in his mid-40s. Later, he gets a calm and smooth ride to the gym by his Romanian girlfriend.
Hello, man. Hello, man.
Yeah. Hello, YouTube. Well, welcome to my new channel. I'm very excited about how you guys are going to receive this. And let me be frank, if you are a 20-year-old guy and you like nettle tea and believe that weight loss is somehow something you can inflict with your mind, then this channel is probably not for you. However, if you are a middle-aged man like me, then maybe I have something for you guys. I'm 47 years old and I live in Romania, and I am in the best shape I've ever been. But it wasn't always so. Not too long ago, I would weigh in at 160 kilograms. Now, it may not look like it, but that's just because it's stretched on a 2-meter frame. Too much work, working an office job for most of my adult life, business travels, and a general unhealthy lifestyle, let's say. Sound familiar? Anyway, I made a big change 2 years ago when I turned 45. By a very specific set of circumstances, I found myself on a competition clause, basically being paid for 6 months staying home. This was the break I had been looking for. I studied all the material I could find and found out that weight loss was not about eating less.
Now, the weird thing about it was that I didn't even stumble across something new. This shit had been literally sitting underneath my nose the entire time.
So why do we need another channel for this men's health, 40s, 50s, years old? YouTube is already full of that stuff. Well, I've been watching a lot of hours of YouTube, and let me tell you, it can get confusing. On one side, you have someone like Dr. Huberman, who believes that staring into the sunlight every morning is gonna fix all your problems. Then you got a guy like Brecker, who believes that salt escaped from the armpits of unicorns from the Celtic shores of Ireland will fix all your problems. And then, as the cherry on top, you have Liver King, whose steroid cycle is so tall that it's taller than the fucking Chrysler building, and he doesn't even eat liver anymore.
But okay, let's say for a moment that maybe there is some truth to these things. Maybe sea salt from the northern shores of Greenland or whatever can actually help you out. Why would you have to present it to people like an unclimbable shit mountain of excrement? You begin to believe at some point that you have to do an Ironman every morning with a 50-kilogram weighted vest before 6 o'clock, that you have to do a cold plunge in the northern Atlantic just to have something that resembles a normal life. What the fuck?
So what is this stuff that I claimed I found out? Well, I had to piece together some stuff, and this is where it gets a little bit nerdy, but try to follow me here. There are 3 major macronutrients in food. Protein, used primarily for building and repairing muscle tissue, as well as supporting enzymes, hormones, and immune function. Carbohydrates, the body's main energy source. Think of carbs as the gasoline that fuels everything from your brain to your muscles during movement. Fat plays a vital role in hormone production, nutrient absorption like vitamins A, D, E, and K, and maintaining cell health and blood quality. Now, what many people don't realize is that only 2 of the 3 macronutrients are essential for survival: protein and fat. Hence, people can survive fine on a carnivore diet, but for me that's a little bit extreme, and I'm not made out of money. Your body must get essential amino acids from protein and essential fatty acids from fat through your diet, or you will eventually get sick. But carbohydrates are not technically essential. Why is that? It's because your body can produce glucose, the sugar it normally gets from carbs, through a process called gluconeogenesis, where it converts fat and protein stored in your body into glucose and use it as a fuel. So yes, even without eating carbs, your body can still fuel itself, especially using stored fat. So how do we activate this process in our body? Well, it's very simple. If we spend more calories than we eat, we are in what is called a calorie deficit, and the body will start using the stored fat as an energy source to compensate. And this is where 95% of all diets made in the world ever will make a conclusion and say this is what you should do. You should eat less and be in a deficit. But, unfortunately, it's not that simple. Things get complicated because you have something called the metabolism. And we can take it a step further and say basal metabolic rate. The BMR is basically the amount of calories your body would burn if you went into a 24-hour coma. And this is highly individual, and it's not even a fixed number. Your body regulates it constantly. And one of the most direct ways the body regulates it is based on the amount of food we eat. When you eat enough, your body feels safe and keeps the metabolism running high. But when you start eating too little for too long, your body senses famine and slows everything down to conserve energy. That's why simply starving yourself or even just going into a deficit rarely works in the long term and often backfires. So what the hell do we do? It seems like our own body is working against us on this. And if that is your conclusion, you are actually quite right. Because the human body has been genetically programmed through literally millions of years of evolution to conserve energy as fat if given the chance. And it's not gonna give it up easy. Just apply logic. If fat loss was easy, there would be no fat people. So what do we do? Well, this is where I started to look at some research. A scientific report from 2006 called the Calorie Trial showed something very interesting. Basically, they did a 6-month trial on overweight people. Half of them went into a 500 calorie deficit, meaning they were eating 500 calories less than their BMR, and the other half ate 250 calories under the BMR, but exercised daily, burning exactly 250 calories per training session. Now, while the group that only dieted lost a bit of weight, it wasn't impressive, and a lot of the weight came from muscle mass. But the group that combined a small calorie cut with daily training, they not only lost more weight, they actually added lean muscle mass in the process. Same deficit, very different results. So what's the takeaway? Well, fat loss through training is more powerful, more sustainable, and far more body transforming than starvation will ever be. So how about we just do that? Well, weight loss is weight loss, right? No. It turns out that skeletal muscle mass has been underrated for a long time. A study from 2023, Muscle Mass and Mortality, a meta-analysis, shows that more skeletal muscle actually extend life expectancy and reduce the potential for chronic illness. So more muscle equals better and longer life, where low muscle mass equals increased risk of serious illness and lower life expectancy. And if you are in your 40s and 50s, this should be of great interest to you. That also means that the first group in the before mentioned study who lost muscle mass was maybe losing overall body weight, but they were also becoming more exposed to chronic illness. And from this we can conclude that the second group that lost fat and gained muscle was actually on the right path. So why don't we just do that? Well, you can, and you would be right to do so. But I also found out that we can actually fine-tune that a little bit more. Quite a bit more, actually. See, I've been watching a lot of YouTube, and one of the things that I found very interesting was always watching those shows where you have full day of eating with strongmen or bodybuilders. Those guys eat an insane amount of calories. And why do they do that? They do it to build and support their muscle mass, of course. But why is that important? Well, it turns out that muscle mass is one of the most effective ways to increase your metabolism. Actually, if you add 1 kilogram of muscle mass to your overall body mass, your BMR will increase by up to 20 calories per day. That's not really impressive by itself, so why is this important? Well, you will see a lot of YouTube videos and people around the internet claiming that an extra kilogram of muscle gets you almost nowhere with fat loss. However, that changes if you actually look a step further and use that 1 kilogram of extra muscle mass, especially if you do resistance training or bodybuilding workouts. You see, when you use the muscle, lifting weights, you get something called micro tears. And repairing this requires protein and energy from your body. Actually, up to 20 to 40 calories per 24 hours, depending on training intensity. On top of that, you have afterburn, EPOC, meaning that after the training your body will continue to burn energy up to about 14 to 20 calories per 24 hours more. When you add all this up, you can increase total expenditure of calories per day with between 40 and 70 calories. And you can do the math just as fine as I can. Most people that are untrained can easily add 5 kilograms of muscle mass to their body in 4 to 6 months by training. That means that after half a year or less, you could be burning anywhere between 6,000 and 10,500 calories extra for free per month. Now, bear in mind that burning off 1 kilogram of human body fat requires 7,000 calories. This means that you will be losing between 1 and 1.5 kilogram of pure body fat per month passively. Add to that the amount of calories you burn during the actual exercises, which will add an additional 300 to 700 calories depending on your muscle mass and intensity. That's another 9,000 to 20,000 calories per month. Even if we just go along with the 9,000 calories, that is between 20 and 30 kilograms of pure fat loss per year. And the best part is that it's a self-enhancing effect, like a positive spiral that just gets better and better the further you go, and the results become more and more obvious. So, how does all of this add up to something you can actually do? Well, it's simple, but it requires discipline. You will need meat in excessive amounts to get the protein you need to refuel your muscle, complex carbs to give you energy throughout the day, and healthy fats to keep your hormonal levels at peak performance. So, if your wife already talked you into a soup diet and doing crunches on a yoga mat in the living room, man, give her a big hug from me and tell her that I know she means well, but that is not how she will get the man of her dreams back.
And that was the chicken. Look, if you enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it, you are welcome to take a look at the other ones I put up. There's actually quite a few at this point already. I'm gonna post another one every week, and let's see how it goes. If you guys like it, you're welcome to throw a comment or like or subscribe if you want that. You can also take a look at my blog, FO40.blog. There's a lot of more stuff in there. There's a lot of links to articles, the real stuff, not the bro science, but the actual data that proves that these things that I'm telling you is actually true. And it works for you, it worked for me, and it's gonna work for you. Till next time.